This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
We live in sexual anarchy. You damn dirty commies in the chat. It's our butthole. Clinically, DJ Dub, Warlord, good evening, my friends. So glad to see everybody. Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Wednesday. I had told the Discord that I was going to have to take tonight off. I had a client. I woke up to like all kinds of people wanting fucking video from me. And one of them was going to pay me a couple grand to do it in like 24 hours. So I'm like, all right, I'm totally into that. And so we like discussed everything, got everything laid out, and then they're like, I'm gonna put you on a email chain with the CEO, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Never got the email. It'll pop up later in the day. I'm like, hey, just check again. I never received an email. And she pops back and like, oh, well, we're gonna wait and do it the next cycle so you have more time to work on it. And I was all excited to get paid top dollar to do it. 24 hours. When I feel like working, I need to work and make that money, because I don't usually feel like working. Sparkles, good evening. Fuck work. I'm not into it. Been doing work all goddamn day. But yeah, I said I was gonna take the night off, but that project didn't come through, so I finished what I was working on at 7 o'clock on the dot. I was like, oh shit, this is my stopping point right now. So just enough time to be able to put together a fucking stream for you guys. And what a stream it is. My God, that news be doing stupid shit. We've got video of the murderer in Pennsylvania that escaped, has been on the run for a week now. We got video of how he escaped. Mike Huckabee is calling for a civil war. Sarah Huckabee is now having a suit filed against her, seeking records related to her travel and her security detail. Usually governors are in office a couple of years before this happened. This is like record time for Governor Huckabee Sanders. Apparently we got a new bombshell report on George Santos. Back to having to talk about this motherfucker every night. Here's your meme of the day. Actually relates to a story we're going to be talking about here in just a few minutes. Right when they don't have anything to complain about, man tells Tucker that he had sex with Obama. Libertad, good evening. Hey, fucking, I brought you a story about shitting last night. We had a woman that shit at the cops. What the fuck, indeed. Commend the channel for the scat content last night. Thank you, Libertad. God damn, I'm not high enough for this shit. Man tells Tucker that he had sex with Obama. We got cop news now. A viral video has gotten a cop suspended. He was making out with a woman and then took her into the back seat of his cruiser. The wild shit that goes on in this fucking country. Oh my, indeed. I've got video of a shooting suspect in Atlanta. Oh. Fuck it. Mitch McConnell's going to tell us about his health. Oh, get this one. Okay. So these two stories might have something to do with each other. You never know. Tangentially, they might be related. A worker at Mar-a-Lago has struck a deal with the DOJ, and an aide to Rudy Giuliani has disappeared. I'll give you an update on the Kraken and the Cheese Bro. The Kraken and the Cheese Bro. They had a ruling today in court. The Kraken and the Cheese Bro. Check this one out. I've got video of a school board meeting in Ohio where a woman gave a Nazi salute. Because it's just another day in Nazi USA. Flash, good evening. Poor Lord, you know how this show goes. We do the hard news up front, and then we gradually work our way through the bullshit. The show gets lighter and lighter as we go along, usually. Unless we do politics up front, and then I end up doing, like, cop stories and crime stories midway through. I'm sorry. So Warlord votes that we start doing the show backwards, that we start with the bullshit and work our way to the hard news. Is that what? That doesn't seem right to me. Warlord wants to start with an earlier show. I've thought about it, but honestly, I like the 8 o'clock start time. It works well for when we have debates and speeches and shit like that. Like, I'm usually already on. I kind of like the time. I've thought about going there. I've thought about starting at 4:20. Because I personally would like to have the show over with, me enjoying my night earlier, but it doesn't work out that way. It works out better this way. All the shit's kind of going on now. People brought it up in the Discord, and once I get bigger, I'll stream whatever the fuck you guys want. We'll start doing daytime streams, and we'll do fucking court hearings and Paxton impeachment trials and all that good shit. But fucking my ass got to make videos for other people all goddamn day, unfortunately. Catch 22 too, because I know my numbers go up when we're doing, special events and shit. Doing the Paxton impeachment probably would have got me viewers this week. It's not going to pay me at this moment in time. Whereas, I made at least $400 today. Least, so, but I've worked all goddamn day. Oh my god, I don't like it. I gotta do it now that I've said that the Freak Show is coming back on October 13th. I gotta make the money to get a new board. I have to have another board before I start having guests on here again. Guests are a bitch at this moment in time, so we got to make that happen. All right, let's get to the news. Top story tonight. Well, I don't know if it's the top story, but it's one of the most interesting stories we're going to talk about tonight. Well, no, probably not even the most interesting. Hunter Biden's dong is apparently going to be indicted. Prosecutors are seeking to indict Hunter Biden apparently by the end of the month. Ford, good evening.
Charges against Hunter Biden could be? Sure. I think it's going to be a lot of what we've spoken about before and what you and I were both talking about outside the courthouse before that plea agreement dissolved, Ryan. I think you're looking at a case here that's going to be based primarily on tax charges. They're going to surround the years 2017 2017 and 2018. And I think the question now is whether or not Special Counsel Weiss will indict using misdemeanor charges or whether there'll be felony charges. And I think based on what they've telegraphed, it's possible that felony charges could be in the offing here. And then we have to figure out where those charges will be filed.
I really don't give a shit.
Now that he is special counsel in any district that he chooses to that has venue, that's the first thing he has to prove. And so the most likely
indict him.
Here,
go for it.
Charges are going to be filed in the Central District of California in the Los Angeles area because that's where he will likely allege that this conduct primarily took place. So that's what we should expect between now and September. There's still a little bit of a lingering question as to this pretrial diversion agreement on the gun charge, being in possession of a gun while using narcotics. Now, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, Ryan, because Hunter Biden's attorneys have argued that that agreement is still in place because both sides signed it. Federal prosecutors say, well, not so fast. It didn't get the final signature that it needs from probation. Now, you might say, all right, Tom, well, like the tax charges in that plea deal, doesn't that just all go away and they'll include that in future charges? But there raises a bit of a legal question because that specific charge in statute has been challenged quite significantly in the federal courts and in the appellate courts of this country, and it has been beaten down. So the question as to whether or not prosecutors in a good faith could bring that charge against him remains very much an open question as to the terms of that agreement and whether it's in place as well, because there's clearly a dispute between both parties. So that's something that we're going to continue to have to watch, and then obviously any indictment itself, but it's now a foregone conclusion, according to prosecutors, that the son of the President of the United States will in fact be indicted, will be in court, and will be arraigned at some point.
So we
I just don't care.
You're telling me, Tom. So the other part of this, of course, is whether or not it remains an ongoing.
I know I'm playing the story on my stream.
Very specific in saying that the investigation was ongoing. Could this be the end? You know, once the indictment goes down, or could there be subsequent indictments even after this indictment is filed?
So, Ryan, I'm not omniscient, and if I was, I probably wouldn't be working
PP girl.
you, but we have no sense from our reporting.
Just like whether he is indicted or not makes no fucking difference to me. If he committed a crime, indict him. Go for it. He's a private fucking citizen. I just do not fucking care. I'm sure the right is salivating over this. I'm probably top news on Fox News all night tonight. Sean Hannity masturbated to it earlier. Meanwhile, the more interesting stories are actually breaking in the Trump case. Dustin, good evening. Mar-a-Lago workers struck a cooperation deal with prosecutors in the Trump documents case, according to an ex-lawyer. An information technology director at Mar-a-Lago struck a cooperation agreement with federal prosecutors last summer in their investigation of Donald Trump's retention of classified documents at the former president's Florida property. Stanley Woodward, a former attorney for the IT manager, made the revelation in a court filing, responding to DOJ arguments that he had a potential conflict of interest because his representation of another key figure in the Mar-a-Lago probe, Trump valet Walt Nauta. A cooperation agreement generally requires an individual to assist a criminal investigation in exchange for not being prosecuted. In this case, the worker testified before a federal grand jury that in July returned an updated indictment against Trump, Nauta, and another Mar-a-Lago employee, Carlos de Oliveira, accusing the men of conspiring to delete surveillance footage from the property. All three have pleaded not guilty. The indictment alleges that De Oliveira, Mar-a-Lago's property manager, told the IT director, identified in court papers as Trump employee number 4, that the boss wanted surveillance footage deleted. The Justice Department does not allege that the footage was actually deleted. In fact, security video alleged to show Nauta moving boxes in and out of a storage room forms a critical accusation in the indictment. Special counsel Jack Smith's team said in a court filing last month that the IT director had retracted prior false testimony after being advised last summer of a potential conflict between Woodward's representation of Nata. He then switched lawyers and provided new and incriminating information in the run-up to the new or superseding indictment in July, according to prosecutors. I'm loving this. Like, it's sad that it's taken this long to get to this point, but these motherfuckers are actually seeing their comeuppance. They're getting their just desserts. And I'm here for it. They've gotten away with it for so fucking long. Rudy Giuliani aide who vanished. The Rudy Giuliani aide who vanished.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Probably a smart move. Man probably isn't a sucker or a fool. Documents reviewed by Politico and also in the hands of federal prosecutors offer new details about Rudy Giuliani's ill-fated efforts to reverse the 2020 election. In December of 2020, an advisor to Rudy Giuliani circulated a draft email addressed to the White House seeking provisional security clearances for the former mayor and members of his team as part of their work to keep Donald Trump in power. The advisor, Catherine Freiss, also helped Giuliani woo potential donors to finance Trump's effort to reverse the results of the election. She helped draft a strategic communications plan for a final push to keep Trump in office, a document that became a focus for January 6 investigators and that called for placing paid ads on radio and TV, alleging widespread voter fraud. At the same time, Freiss warned other Trump aides that their claims about dead people voting in Georgia are weak, but Trump continued to trumpet those claims anyway. Freiss, a national security consultant with deep roots in Washington, kept a low profile, but in November and December of 2020, she was Giuliani's jack of all trades. A host of emails and documents exchanged by Freiss and other Giuliani aides have been turned over to special counsel Jack Smith, according to a person familiar with the investigation, granted anonymity to discuss the sensitive material. Dozens of those documents, which have been reviewed by Politico, add new detail to the public understanding of how Trump's allies operated after Election Day and how they grappled with the obstacles, both immense and quotidian? Let's look it up. The word of the day is quotidian.
Quotidian.
Of or occurring every day, daily. Ordinary or everyday, especially when mundane. Quotidian. Okay, so now I'm is anything about stealing an election quotidian? It seems like an odd choice of word there. They were just trying to show off, weren't they? Freiss, who did not respond to inquiries, I mean, I didn't know the fucking word. I love learning new words. Thank you for teaching us a new word, Politico. However, I'm not exactly sure that you used it correctly. I don't think there's anything quotidian about trying to steal an election or the obstacles that you would face with how to steal an election. Freiss, who did not respond to inquiries, has not been accused of any wrongdoing by prosecutors or by Congress, and she has not been mentioned in either of the criminal cases charging Trump with conspiring to subvert the election. Two Georgia election workers who are suing Giuliani for defamation tried unsuccessfully to subpoena and depose her, but after searching for her for months, they gave up, saying Freiss has vanished. The House January 6 Select Committee also sought to depose Freiss, but never managed to secure her testimony. She sued to block the panel's investigators from obtaining her phone records, and though they prevailed in the suit, there's no public indication they ever got them. The emails reviewed by Politico, including more than 20 sent or received by Freeze herself, depict her as an active figure in Giuliani's effort who feared what would happen if they failed. And they show that, like so many others who have worked for Trump over the decades, Freeze struggled to get paid. Wild. What a wild story. If you'd like to read the rest of it, here you go. It's in the chat. And she never got paid. Let's continue talking about Trump lawyers that were involved in trying to steal the 2020 election, shall we? We have an update on one Miss Sidney Powell and one Mr. Kenneth Cheesebro.
All right, to sever or not to sever? That is the question. We thought we sort of had an answer. Maybe we do have an answer, but basically what you were watching was the first televised hearing in Trump's Georgia election case there in Fulton County, Georgia. Trump and his allies, as you know, have been accused of interfering in Georgia's 2020 election results, trying to flip the state away from Joe Biden. Allegations of racketeering, organized crime, a RICO case, as you know, is what's in play here. And the question is, two of those co-defendants wanted separate trials, didn't want to be a part of the entire posse here, where we had heard trial could begin.
So it was Kenneth Cheesebro and Sidney Powell are the two that they're referring to. These nuts.
October 23rd. So, Nima Rahmani, you are legal beagle here. Sort of break down what you heard and what you think is going to happen. It sounds like these two former attorneys, Sidney Powell and Kenneth Cheesebro, tried to invoke a right for a speedy trial, sever themselves from Trump and the rest of the co-defendants, but it doesn't look like the judge is going for it.
No, Judge McAfee was not having it. He denied their severance motion. And, this was part of the Trump team's entire defense's legal strategy. Several of the defendants, two so far, have asserted their right to a speedy trial. Of course, that's Sidney Powell and Ken Cheesebro. And, of course, Trump has argued the opposite.
Cheesebro.
He needs more time. He's trying to push this out till past the November 2024 general election. And as part of that severance motion, the attorneys for Powell and Cheesebro argued that there's no way that the cases should be tried together. They need to be tried separately. They have an absolute right to a speedy trial. And although it was a compelling argument, Judge McAfee rejected it. And they also discussed several of the other factors under Georgia law that would make severance appropriate. But at the end of the day, severance is something that the defense has the burden of raising and proving that the trials would be.
He's always going to be Cheesebro to me.
And the judge says they were unable to meet that burden.
And just looking at the point of this being unfair, that's because if two of these...
I can't imagine that this one goes before the federal case. I would figure that... Okay, so we're looking at the federal January 6th case was the one that was scheduled for... The prosecution asked for January and is now been tentatively scheduled for March. We're looking at like a Super Tuesday for Trump's Melanie, good evening. And yes, I do not care how anybody tells me it's said. It's Cheesebro. It's going to be Cheesebro to me. Everybody keeps saying Chessbro. Fuck off, it's Cheesebro.
Individuals had trials before that October 23rd. A lot of things would, especially if this is televised, right? A lot of things would be revealed, facts, details, charges, and that could impact all the other cases unfairly. Am I understanding that right? That it's just, I guess, safer when you're looking at something that is so political as well, to keep it all together for the sake of one side or the other not being able to cry foul here, because this is
pronounced Cheesebro.
As we know, the political implications are huge.
Oh, absolutely. And
Happy anniversary to Battle Opossum.
you have.
Happy anniversary to Battle Opossum and his lovely wife, married 15 years. I have pictures of me at his wedding. Me and the crack whore. Is this where I've got him? I don't know. I don't think I have any of the rest of your wedding pictures, unfortunately. I was gonna put one up. Here's me and the crack whore. How ironic! If it's your 15-year anniversary, it's also the 15-year anniversary of you cutting that cancer out of your life. And he fucking tagged you earlier today on Facebook. I had a whole interaction with him. Holy shit. That's fucking wild. But your anniversary's tomorrow, motherfucker. We were a cute couple. Look at me fucking 15 years ago. Do I not have any wedding pictures? I don't think I do. I don't care enough about you. Oh wow, that was horrible. Maybe it's in family. Nope, not in family. Not important enough to be in my family folder. So just completely derailed the whole show. This is my best friend's anniversary though. I'll smoke to that. I don't know. I had the pictures because we did the pictures, right? So, Crackhor and me, we were photographers. So we did the pictures at his wedding. So I had pictures. Don't have them anymore. I feel like I saw one the other day. Like there's one of like you and I hugging or something. Cause you know I was over in the line with the ushers and shit. Did I do a comedy? No, I did not do a comedy skit. He did not ask me to do a bit at his wedding. I do not know why. I didn't get to do a toast or anything. That's wild. That motherfucker popped up. Oh my god, my ex best friend popped up in my life. And that's like somebody posted a picture. One of our mutual friends posted a picture. Old Toothless. Oh my god! One time we were at dinner, and I don't even remember. We were in some other fucking town. We were working on the road at the time, and he had went outside. Like he was always fucking pussy whipped, and he's all mooching off of a woman usually, but he's pussy whipped. He'd always have to go call his woman, so he steps outside to make a phone call, and the like he told me what he wanted to eat. And the waitress comes to take our order, and like, you know, I get the salad and everything, and she says, "Does he want croutons on it?" And I'm like, he ain't got no teeth, so probably not. So then, like, he comes back and he sits down. I'm like, I told her you probably wouldn't want croutons because you don't have teeth. He's like, oh shit, I wanted croutons. I would have gummed them. Oh, sorry. I've got some wild stories. I guess that one wasn't too wild now, was it? I'm not gonna make it through this whole... Like, they weren't saying anything. They weren't giving us any fucking news. I'm upset about the coverage. Tell me more about Mr. Cheesebro. Now we're gonna learn more about E. Jean Carroll, who scored another victory against Trump earlier today.
The second civil trial pitting former President Trump against an advice columnist will just focus on financial damages. A judge ruled today that a jury verdict that found the ex-president sexually abused E. Jean Carroll and made defamatory comments about her in 2022.
Does that shock anybody?
Established that Mr. Trump made false and defamatory statements in 2019. Jurors in the first civil trial awarded Carroll $5 million back in the spring. Mr. Trump's lawyer says his legal team is confident the verdict will be overturned. He's also seeking to delay that second trial, which is set for January.
Well, if he is confident, he shouldn't be so fucking confident, because it ain't happening. Just like apparently Tucker Carlson is confident that he is going to have a man who had sex with Barack Obama on his show. Oh shit, it's happened now. Oh shit, here's the preview, but it just aired. It just got put up on Twitter. Do you guys want to watch it? Are we gonna have to watch this?
You're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party.
Yeah, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced.
And now come the fuck on. You're telling me this guy had a fling with Obama. You telling me that Obama couldn't pull a dude much hotter than this?
To me as Barack Obama. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
Even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was.
I had no idea who he was.
You just asked the obvious.
Well, he wasn't anybody then, was he? God damn it. Here we go. It's the whole fucking thing. It's 40 fucking minutes long. Goddamn X.
In retrospect, it's pretty amazing that Barack Obama got as far as he did.
Oh, he is not credible. He is not credible in any way. He's been convicted, and not that being convicted makes you any less credible. Dude been on drugs. He could be a raging racist and actually smoked crack with some black guy he slept with. But it totally wasn't Obama, you know? Tucker's face hole.
In 2004, the summer of 2004, Barack Obama gave a keynote address at the Democratic Convention in Boston. And when he walked to the podium, probably only a small percentage of people in the room knew how to pronounce his name. He was totally unheard of. No one knew Barack Obama. At the time, he was a state senator in Illinois. 4 years later, he once again spoke to the Democratic Convention, but this time as the nominee. Meteoric doesn't begin to describe it. How did this happen? Well, the outlines are fairly well.
How did this happen?
A small group of Democratic donors, mostly in Chicago, decided that Barack Obama was their guy. He was the vessel for their ambitions. They paid for his campaign. They paved the way for his rise. He spent 2 years pointlessly in the United States Senate.
Dude he's interviewing is a bottom. So I guess that would by default would make Obama a top. Might be a switch. Might be a top verse.
Preparing to run for president in 2008, and of course, in the end, he won. But the question was, who was this man? Where did he come from? What did he spend his life doing before he became president of the United States? Well, the news media, whose job it is to answer those questions, spent the entire
You live in sexual anarchy?
To keep you from knowing the answers. By election day, most Americans knew only one thing about Barack Obama, other than he was handsome and a good communicator: hope and change.
He had 2 books.
They knew nothing about him. his origins, what he believed, and legitimate questions about those facts were turned away.
He had 2 published books. I read The Audacity of Hope during the 2008 campaign. And then he had another one called The Dreams of My Father or some shit like that. So the idea that, like, we knew nothing about him is just absolute fucking nonsense, dude.
Away, as they often are, with the claim, "That's a conspiracy theory, you're crazy, shut up!" One of the most interesting moments in the 2008 campaign occurred when a man, like Obama himself, came from out of nowhere to recount his experiences with Barack Obama, the man. His name was Larry Sinclair, and he told an amazing story. He said that in 1999,
I was on crack.
he encountered Barack Obama in Illinois, had sex with Barack Obama, and then used cocaine with him. Sinclair went on to make these claims publicly at the National Press Club in Washington, to sign a sworn affidavit, and to take a lie detector test. But he was dismissed. In fact, he was...
And if I remember correctly, the lie detector the test said he was lying. Not that lie detector tests are fucking accurate, but the lie detector test said he was lying. Tucker just glosses over that fact.
Attacked. Obama shills like Ben Smith of Politico batted the claims out without refuting them. They're absurd. And the rest of the media followed suit. But the claims weren't absurd. We're not claiming they're true, but they were certainly credible. This was a first-hand account of Barack Obama's behavior by someone who was willing to sign a sworn affidavit to that effect. So the question is, whatever happened to Larry Sinclair? What's his life been like since? That's an interesting story. It turns out Larry Sinclair is still alive. He lives in Mexico. But today, he's in our studio, and we're happy to have him. Larry Sinclair, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where did you meet Barack Obama?
It was by accident. I was in the Chicago area in '99 for Lee Duke's graduation from the Naval Academy.
Who's Lee Duke?
He's basically my godson.
Okay.
I had hired a limousine service.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you live in Chicago then?
No. I was actually living in Colorado. I had flown in the night before.
Okay.
So, had hired a limousine service, had made the driver aware that if Lee couldn't leave the base, because once they graduate, some of them actually get their assignments and they're shipping out and they can't leave the base, that I was still interested in going out. And had asked the driver if he knew anybody that was available that might want to show me, Chicago. And he said he did. So
well, who was the driver?
His name was Jameer.
Larry David. Larry David was his limo
driver.
driver.
Limo.
So you're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party, actually.
Yeah.
That's what you're really saying.
Yeah. Well, I was in town for a few nights, but yeah, I was definitely looking to party. And
did you make that clear to the driver?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was no misunderstanding.
And it was a naval ceremony, right? So like he's really looking to party.
Understanding.
How direct were you about that?
Extremely.
Extremely. Okay.
Yeah.
You like semen.
There was no doubt what I was looking for.
Okay.
And he picked me up at my hotel in Gurnee and drove into Chicago, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. It was literally that casual.
Had you ever heard of him?
No.
Did the driver know him?
Yep. The driver definitely knew him because the driver said that he was a friend.
Interesting. How would the driver be friends with Barack Obama?
I only found out later dealing with a reporter from Bloomberg News.
In 99, he would have been a state senator at this time, correct?
That apparently the limousine company had been doing business with Tony Resco.
Oh.
That at the time was somehow affiliated with Barack Obama.
Orbit.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. So he knew Barack Obama, and in his view, Barack Obama liked the same kind of partying you were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. So sex and drugs, in other words.
Well, the sex part I wasn't so sure about until, of course, you make your move, but...
No, I'm actually wrong on that. He was a member of the Illinois State Senate. He was in the Illinois State Senate from 97 to 2004.
It became obvious very quick. The coke part I thought was interesting because of the way that I had brought it up.
So I'm stepping on your story. So you pull, and I apologize. So you pull up to this bar. The driver is basically scouting some dude for you to hang out with.
Correct.
There's this guy, Barack Obama. Have you ever heard of Barack Obama?
Never.
Probably.
Never.
Probably Cosmic Fox.
We're having drinks. I mentioned the fact that I could use something to wake up. I was extremely exhausted.
So you went into the bar?
Yes, sir.
What kind of bar was it?
I'm trying to remember. I've been trying to remember the name. I know that the glasses had 3 X's on them because I remember taking one home for a friend of mine.
What, but I mean, generally characterize it. Was it working class bar,
no,
gay bar,
upscale,
strip bar?
It was upscale, quiet. Wasn't really that. That really didn't have a lot of energy to it. It was more relaxed.
We're supposed. Yeah, this happened while he was a state senator. I don't believe it for 1 second.
It's more like a lounge as opposed to somewhere where people would go and get.
This motherfucker probably hooked up with some black dude.
Which
and then later he saw Barack Obama and was like, oh my God. Because like, he was on fucking drugs.
To wake up. He immediately knew what I was referring to. Had made it clear that I was looking for coke, and I really was, and had made this.
Have you seen the episode of Sunny in Philadelphia where Frank is dating a crack whore and she's got Tiger Woods as a client? That's the kind of deal we've got going on here. Oh, you're an actor. Yeah, I'm Don Cheadle. You're not Don Cheadle.
Suggestion that he knew where we could get it, and we left to go get it.
Interesting. Did he say what he did for a living?
Nope. I had no idea that he was a representative in the Illinois House. I had no idea he was in politics. I just knew
he was in the Illinois State Senate.
Married, and at the time was going through some issues with the marriage.
He said that?
That was made clear. Yep.
He and Michelle did have a rocky patch, apparently. No. Richard, good evening.
So you said, I'm looking for someone to wake up. He knows you're referring to cocaine. I know where to get it. What happens next?
We get back in the limo. The driver takes us wherever it is.
We're not watching all 40 minutes of this.
I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. He gets out, comes back. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort.
And you're in the limo?
Yep.
Driving or parked?
No, the driver's driving.
Yep.
I start to put a line on a CD tray, and I just happen to notice that he pulls something else out of his pocket. And next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, some people smoke, some people snort.
Smoking the cocaine?
Yes. So as I'm doing a line,
that's kind of racist, because like
this is the part where you kind of make your move to see where things are
going. It is pathetic, Richard.
I started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go. So the night became somewhat active sexually and drug-wise in the limo.
So you hit on him. Did he seem shocked by that?
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you're smoking crack with a stranger in the back of a limo, like, you got to imagine things might go crazy.
I was on crack.
Well, I don't imagine it. I look at it this way. I've done a lot of crazy things in my lifetime. I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I pretty much know whether or not I can move in a certain direction with an individual. I didn't feel that I was going in the wrong direction.
This guy is so full of shit. So full of shit.
At first. And that was probably one of my bigger concerns. But the fact that I was already becoming somewhat buzzed, you kind of throw caution to the wind.
You weren't sure you could trust the individual. What does that mean?
When you meet someone out of the blue and you go to a level that you're doing drugs with, or you're giving money to purchase drugs, or even for sexual activity, You have to be sure that you can trust them. And when I say trust, I mean that you're not going to end up being robbed, or that you're not going to end up having a knife stuck into you, you know, from one
You're
direction.
gonna steal a kidney and sell it on the black market.
Somewhere, and all of a sudden the car door is going to open and you got 5 people pulling you out of it.
Totally.
That's what I mean when I say trust someone.
And you've been around at this point in your life.
I'm a good judge of character, and we have 2 fucking liars on screen.
Not at all, and that's why I said I pretty much know where I can go and at what point.
So you start rubbing his leg, and he's, I mean, I think, I'll just be totally blunt with you, like a man who's not into gay sex would be like, whoa, settle down.
Trust me, if it was something that you were not interested in, and you're right, I've had guys that I read wrong that would literally try to break your hand.
For sure.
If you went in that route. So it's not like this was something that he wasn't into. It's not something that he was shocked by.
Good evening.
Shocked by, you don't get excited and you don't unbutton your pants and you don't just sit there and let it happen.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't Barack's first time. That much I'm absolutely certain of. And I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
So you performed oral sex on Barack Obama. You did.
He's like a little dick.
In the driver's up front?
Yep.
And he's cool with this?
The driver has
the bag of a limo.
He didn't have a problem with it. He didn't put it down for any reason.
I mean, he kind of set up the whole thing for this in the first place.
Exactly. And I have a funny feeling he had no bones to pick with it as far as what took place in it.
Yeah. So what happened after?
There's a whole 30 more minutes of this. What in the fuck can Tucker Carlson possibly ask him for 30 more minutes? What are they talking about 25 minutes later?
Sun-Times reporter, or no, a Chicago Tribune reporter, John Crutzen.
Axelrod had been a reporter in Chicago before he went into politics.
Well, John Crutzen worked for the Chicago Tribune, and John Crutzen actually came to Duluth, Minnesota, and sat
John Crudite
and talked with me. And John Crutzen had told me point blank that before he had flown out, that he had spoken to Axelrod, and that Axelrod had told him that they were aware of who I was, and that it was their intentions to destroy me, and that if any reporter had mentioned me to them, they would be completely cut off, and that outlet would be completely cut off from access to the Obama campaign for the duration of the year. So I think that had a lot to do with why reporters didn't bring things up to the campaign, because everybody wanted access.
I just don't believe you. And there's
Nobody wanted to be blackballed.
There is no way what you're saying is true. There's no verification of anything you said. I would say many outlets looked into it and said, this guy's a fucking idiot. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think happened with the situation. I can't believe we spent that much time watching that. It was just salacious. Fortunately, I got to do the salacious shit. I'm real into it. Perhaps this is salacious. I think this is just a man that is wanting attention. Mike Huckabee, former governor, former presidential candidate, apparently calling for civil war.
Do you know how political opponents to those in power are dealt with in third world dictatorships, banana republics, and communist regimes? Well, it's simple. The people in power use their police agencies to arrest their opponents for made-up crimes in an attempt to discredit them, bankrupt them, imprison them.
Sir, it's not a made-up crime. We all watched him and have heard him fucking admit to the crimes he has been accused of. Mike Huckabee. There's no made-up crime. That's the problem with your little scenario, sir.
Them, exile them, or all of the above. And if you're not paying attention, you may not realize that Joe Biden is using exactly those tactics to make sure that Donald Trump is not his opponent in 2024. Here's the problem. If these tactics end up working to keep Trump from winning or even running in 2024, it is going to be the last American election that will be decided by ballots rather than bullets.
Whoa. Fuck you, Mike Huckabee. Riling up his supporters when, are charges in the future for his daughter. His daughter, the current governor of the state of Arkansas. A new suit has been filed requesting records related to Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' travel and security. An Arkansas attorney and blogger has filed a lawsuit against the Arkansas State Police that accuses the agency of illegally withholding public records he requested related to Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' travel and security. Matthew Campbell, who runs the Blue Hog Report. Blue Hog sounds like another name for erectile dysfunction. Filed the lawsuit on Tuesday challenging the state police's response. Blue Hog. It could also be a slur for a cop. Filed the lawsuit Tuesday challenging the state police's response to records requested under the Freedom of Information Act. The requests include communications regarding the security for Sanders and her husband, Brian Sanders, and records regarding their costs. Campbell also requested communications and travel records for the state police plane, which the governor uses for travel, and records related to Sanders' trade mission to Europe earlier this year. State police cited several exemptions in declining to release records that didn't apply, Campbell's lawsuit said. They include an exemption for the governor's working papers and another regarding records related to governor's mansion security. State police also claimed that the documents were considered personnel records and would have been unwarranted invasion of privacy. This is a little interview with Sarah. Let's do it.
Questions that we have from parents and teachers is the retention possibility with students if they're not at the third grade.
Doing off those legs.
Third grade, they cannot go to fourth grade. Are there any exemptions, and how do you work around the ESL students?
Certainly there are exemptions, but ultimately the way that we look at it is the goal is not to hold kids back. It's to give them the foundation.
She's bound to want me to focus on her legs, right?
But to excel and succeed all the way up until they graduate. And we know that if a student is not reading at that critical benchmark age of third grade, they're really going to struggle moving forward. And so certainly we have exemptions and waivers in place, but we also aren't just putting kids back in the same program and curriculum. The goal would be that over the course of the summer and the end of that third grade school year, they meet with the literacy coach, they receive additional tutoring with hopes that during that couple month period, they're able to move up to the fourth grade.
Now I know in the LEARNS Act there is funding for that. So where are you hoping that funding will go?
Her father's
Are they going to go directly to parents to use for tutors, or are they going to just the program?
There are a number of different things. One, and I think the other key piece of this is that we're not just hoping to focus on third grade. We're looking at everything pre-K up until third grade. So starting earlier to identify specific markers so that we can help students before they ever fall behind when they hit that third grade.
And she's just bullshitting us. Not a fan of Huckabee Sanders. Not a fan of any of these slimy ass Republicans. I'm not saying that she has a slimy ass, but it's Arkansas in the summer, so it's quite possible. CBS News apparently obtained a secret George Santos vulnerability report. Arkansas, Warlord likes to call it. Arkansas is what a Southerner would say.
We begin tonight with a CBS News exclusive. We have learned that many of the lies told by embattled New York Republican Congressman George Santos were captured in a searing report commissioned by his own campaign a full year before his election. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland joins me now with that story. Scott, what I just read is what we call in the trade a grabber. Please explain.
This 100-plus page report was commissioned back in 2021. They actually contracted some professionals to do this research. The Santos campaign commissioned this research to get ahead of any potential negative stories. And it's a more than 100-page report. That's the cover shot. That there are so many pages is indicative of what this report was. A prequel, if not a preview, of the scandals that surround Congressman Santos. There are so many parallels in this internal opposition research report to the troubles Santos faces today, including the criminal charges. There are allegations in this internal report that surfaced at the Santos campaign's own commission that detail his potential improprieties with money, his lack of truthfulness about his life story, about his biography, about his family roots, claims about his grandparents being Holocaust survivors, his claims about having been married before. But more to the point, Major, the warning signs in this report were noted inside the Santos campaign. CBS News has learned that multiple campaign aides asked Santos to drop out of the race when he refused to. Those aides fit the job. They recognized what they were holding in that internal report.
And Scott, for those in our audience who may be unfamiliar with this, walk them through that this is something.
I like the guy now, though.
They don't wait for somebody else to ask hard questions or uncomfortable questions. They try to prepare themselves by digging into the candidate's past and unearthing things so they can be prepared. Correct?
In fact,
he's an openly gay congressman, but like he lies the way a Republican would lie.
Organized campaigns for the parties will say if you want to become a candidate for federal office, you need to have an internal report on your own potential vulnerabilities. And if you think about it more fundamentally, Major, who's the best person to launch an investigation of problems in someone's life? That person, him or herself. They know best where to look and where to dig and what to try to reveal. Let's put that aside for a moment. These types of reports are not only done by the candidate, but they are often shared so that people are aware of what's happening with candidates that may be on the
He's
ballot.
wanted here.
Reporting indicates that this was circulated among some House Republican campaign leaders in Washington. At least the conclusions of this report were shared with those leaders. And we brought these questions about this type of vulnerability report, the power in this one. What did this one mean to an old campaign hand? Doug High is a veteran campaign strategist for the Republicans. Here's what he said about what this report included.
You've seen opposition research for decades. How does this compare? How does this size up?
We've seen resume padding before, but the whole host of very questionable things over and over again, and not just in one direction, but in seemingly every facet of his life. Personal, professional, educational, turns out to be not just questionable, but an outright lie. That is staggering.
I love it. I love it. But we learned last night that he's possibly cutting a deal with prosecutors in his fraud case. Fraud, campaign finance, and embezzlement. Speaking of fraud, campaign finance, and embezzlement, the Attorney General of Texas, one Mr. Ken Paxton, throwing bombs during his impeachment trial. One of his attorneys is accusing witnesses of trying to stage a coup.
A key witness in the Ken Paxton trial on the stand today, with questioning and testimony at times growing heated. Today is the second day of the impeachment trial for the suspended Texas Attorney General. Ken's 5's Andrew Moore shows us key moments. Andrew.
Yeah, former First Assistant Attorney Jeff Mateer says Ken Paxton was insistent that the AG's office hire an outside attorney for unclear purposes, and the outside attorney did eventually work for the office over fierce objections from multiple deputy attorneys in his office. That outside attorney is then alleged to have launched an investigation related to donor Nate Powell. Paxton is again accused of hiring that outside attorney to do an investigation that benefited Paul. That attorney is named Brandon Kamek, and Mateer said Paxton went on to go as far as to ask him to fire other attorneys when they would not sign off on Kamek's hire. Mateer and other deputies sent concerns to the FBI and DOJ about Kamek's activities and other issues at a later date. Mateer said his concerns about Kamek were warranted, but the defense later questioned why he went to the FBI and even accused Mateer of trying to take the AG's position for himself.
Kamek was saying that he was working for the Office of Attorney General and was engaged in activities.
What kind of activities?
He was serving subpoenas on
What
banks.
type of subpoena?
He was seeking information from banks that appeared to be related to Mr. Paul and his activities.
But you could have put all this to bed if you'd just talked to your boss.
Brother Love is involved in this?
Starting probably in June, July, August, September.
No.
I did.
Take it easy.
I did talk to him, sir.
I believe some of what you did, and your job at that point in time was to go to the boss. Isn't that right?
I had tried to go to the boss.
Is it because you wanted to be the Attorney General? Is that what was going on?
Anybody who knows me, Mr. Busby, knows that that is not one of my ambitions.
And defense attorney Tony Busby then spent the next hour, at least, trying to prove that Kamek went through a normal hiring process and prove that the Attorney General had the authority to hire him. It's still not clear when that hire officially happened or if it happened at all, or who Kamek reported to during that time. Audrey?
All right, thanks so much, Andrew. And we are streaming the impeachment trial in the...
Wow. This is getting juicy. We're gonna catch up with this like Sunday. I'll do like a deep dive into this fucking trial. Mitch McConnell asked about his health. Does he make it through the speech earlier today? Or does he freeze up and have a little mini stroke?
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Respectfully, can you tell us what is afflicting you and describe, characterize what is the level of transparency the people of Kentucky deserve to hear about your condition?
Well, I think Dr. Monahan covered.
We'd like to hear from you.
I know you are hearing from me. I think Dr. Monahan covered the subject.
He is totally a tumor.
I don't have anything to add to it, and I think it should answer any reasonable question.
But he ruled things out. He didn't tell us what it is. Do you know what it is?
You've had all these evaluations. What a doctor said is the precise medical reason for those two freeze-ups.
What Dr. Monahan's report addressed was concerns people might have. Some things that happened to me.
Brasso over here looks really concerned.
And it's really, I have nothing to add to that. I think you pretty well covered the subject.
What do you say to those who are calling on you to step down? Do you have any plans to retire anytime soon?
How are you, old bitch?
Announcements to make on that subject.
What do you say to those who are
I'm going to finish my term as leader, and I'm going to finish my Senate term.
His listening face. I hate every single person that was in that little posse. All of them are just disgusting people. Joni Ernst, I forget old Stoneface over here. I hate this fucking dude too. All of them. They're all the scum of the earth. Stone Phillips standing behind McConnell. That's not Stone Phillips. That's an insult to Stone Phillips. Content warning on this one? I can't believe I'm getting ready. Like, maybe there's a logical explanation for this, but Tip City school board member gives Nazi salute to board president during meeting. Okay, is she trying to say that the president's acting like a Nazi? The video here.
To the board, there's been regular reports from the facility committee reports to the board. There have been. I'm talking. Do not interrupt me. Do not make any noises, or else I will not tolerate it.
Oh.
Stop talking. To the committee, to the board, there's been regular.
Yeah, she's mocking him and calling him a Nazi because he will not tolerate. It's just like she's not a Nazi. She's doing it in protest.
Reports from the facility committee reports to the board. There have been. I'm talking. Do not interrupt me. Do not make any noises, or else I will not tolerate it.
Oh.
Stop talking. To the committee, to the board, there's been regular reports from the facility committee.
You probably shouldn't do that, though. His board member Annie Zakar gave a Nazi salute and said "Sig Heil" at Tuesday's school board meeting.
They feel, okay, when people think of what happened yesterday, they feel, okay, you may have been frustrated, but you could have said something else. You could have responded in a different way. That's all I'm saying to you. My job is to bring to you the concerns of the citizens in this district, right? Not Simon's, because again, we are not talking about Simon, right? While you and him may have had the conflict. But for some people, like again, they believe it was racially charged. You have some people calling for your resignation.
Well,
what do you want to say to those people?
For me, I am not I'm not a discriminating person. Oh my gosh. I've been so open and I'm so comfortable with different races. And
This must be a teaser for her story tonight. What's the news station? Dayton 24/7 now. I want to know what the fuck's gonna go on with this.
So you just saw a Tip City school board member there giving the Nazi symbol and saying that phrase yesterday.
I guess she was calling the president of the board a Nazi because he was like, I won't tolerate your piping up during my whatever the fuck he said.
Today's school board meeting, the outrage now pouring in from all sides. Mamie Ba is live from outside the Board of Education there. She's been on this all day today. This is all very controversial, Mamie. Break it down for us, please.
That's right, Adam. You have so many people saying to themselves, why respond in this way to something? A lot of people saying that there is dysfunction among the board members here at the Tip City School District. Among the board members, there's a lot of dysfunction, but they're saying it shouldn't have gotten to this point.
The Nazi salute, followed by a phrase no one wants to see or hear anywhere, especially a school meeting.
In my opinion, not acceptable. Not acceptable at all.
Community members and parents have been expressing outrage over Tip City School Board member Ann Zakor's actions.
what happened yesterday was a culmination of 4 years of being badgered and bullied and misrepresented. And yeah.
Were you trying to get
across? It wasn't
across?
Nazi, okay? So it was a gesture that in Germany at the time meant total obedience to a dictator. And I felt yesterday that's what this particular board member, who's been doing this for some time, was expecting and demanding.
It all started when Simon Patry, the then board president, was asking his colleagues to stop talking.
I'm talking, do not interrupt me, do not make any noises, or else I will not tolerate it.
The Nazi gesture and phrase then followed.
I don't know why anybody would use that despicable phrase in that gesture.
Patry resigned at midnight, even though he had only a few months left of his term. He tells me it had nothing to do with Zakor's actions. He wants to focus on his law firm and family.
When I walked into the doors was the time that I felt that it was highly likely that I would do it today or yesterday.
The Tip City School Board has been at odds for a while, with meetings being filled with sarcasm, sly remarks, and interruptions among members. But Tip City voters say on Tuesday it went too far.
The way I look at it is, it doesn't matter what people are saying to me. I'm not going to respond with any sort of racial remark.
I'm not a discriminating person.
Do you regret it at all, following the public outrage?
It was a genuine, honest reaction. Like I said,
it was a genuine, honest reaction.
When oppression hits people, after so long, they react.
What do you want to say to that in response to her feelings?
Ma'am, that is so disingenuous and so trivializing the fucking Holocaust. The fuck is wrong with you? You're not oppressed. You're a fucking on a school board. And the president just wants to talk and complete what he has to say. What the fuck? How dare you compare it to Nazi Germany, ma'am?
Feeling like, you've been a dictator at these meetings. You've cut people off, You've been rude. You've been sexist.
I'm surprised.
He's been sexist?
To anybody who watches these meetings, they know that that's not true.
Now, for the full interview with Simon Patry and Ann Zakor, please head over to our Facebook page. We'll be putting that on our Facebook page. Just bear with us. They are long interviews, and we just want to give them each the time to really express their passion and express what unfolds. So definitely make sure to keep a lookout on our Facebook page for the full interviews. I did reach out to the school district. I was here earlier today, and the district says it has no comment at this time. We do know that Zakor's term, this is her last term as as a member of the school board. Back to you.
Well, that happened. What I do, I bring you the wildest shit on the internet. Wildest shit on the internet. Here's some wild shit. Ready to see? We covered this story last night. This is an escaped prisoner in Pennsylvania. We now have video of his daring escape from the Chester County Prison. Still on the loose. Been on the loose for a week now. A manhunt underway for a week.
Jacqueline, London officials say Cavalcante is the second prisoner to escape from Chester County Prison this year.
And police have released new video showing how he was able to break out of jail. And you can see Cavalcante approach a small hallway right there before scaling up the wall. He then goes through the razor wire, across a roof, jumps a fence, and through more razor wire before he finally gets out. This all happened on the morning of August 31st. The warden says the prison was not locked down until an hour after he escaped. Then authorities started their search, I should say. Surveillance cameras in the area captured the criminal. And on Saturday, a residential camera caught him on the 1800 block of Lenape Road in Pocopson Township, just 1.5 miles from the prison. One of the next sightings, same 2 days later, from a trail camera near Longwood Gardens. The video shows him shirtless and carrying a backpack as he moves through a heavily wooded area. And that brings us to today. 7 days into the search, Skyforce 10 is overhead as authorities work to track down Cavalcante. And NBC 10's Deanna Durante is live in Westchester with the latest details. Deanna.
Well, a series of security breaches led to this escape, according to prison officials. As you said, this is the second escape this year, the second one since May. And prison officials say a number of security patterns were in place, but clearly it was not enough. They also say a guard missed the convicted killer getting off the prison grounds. Video released today shows 34-year-old convicted killer Danilo Cavalcante scale a wall. Prison officials say it was quick, too quick for guards monitoring video footage to see. From there, Cavalcante made his way outside the Chester County Prison.
At 8:51 a.m., Cavalcante escapes from the prison, having crab walked up a wall, push his way through a razor
crab walked,
run across a roof, scale another fence, and push his way through more razor wire.
And past a guard tower, where a guard was monitoring the prison yard where the inmates were.
As we develop information into this, we are certainly going to look at what the actions of that tower officer were, why he didn't observe what was occurring in that yard.
The guard now is on administrative leave. Cavalcante isn't the first escapee this summer. In May, another inmate managed to climb that wall, get to the roof, and get out of the prison yard. He was caught minutes later because the guard in the tower saw him and called for backup. Cavalcante was not discovered missing for an hour after he was already on the run.
Cavalcante has clearly already obtained some clothing and unknown other supplies, and we want to minimize any opportunity to obtain anything more.
Despite sightings, police say he's managed to stay on the run now for 7 days, eluding police and surviving in extreme heat. The heat is hurting search efforts, police say, as trained dogs are affected by the heat, and some of the equipment isn't useful. But state police
cops aren't useful.
In the area, keep your eyes opened and your doors locked.
Residents can expect to continue to see large numbers of law enforcement officers in their communities and traveling to and from assigned locations.
I'm rooting them on right now.
For the public's help.
Like, I don't want them to hurt anybody.
And description of Cavalcante, to check security cameras they have, and to call us immediately if they believe they may have seen Cavalcante.
Now, police at this point are not saying if they believe Cavalcante has gotten any outside help, if they believe any of those inmates assisted.
That was a slick escape.
We did ask, we saw people in the video if they were possibly trying to distract the guards. They say that's all part of the investigation. They do tell us that in their searches they have found items along the way in their search perimeter, but yet they can't tell us if those items belong to Cavalcante or not. The main thing here for people in Pennsbury Township, where that search perimeter exists right now, if you see anyone suspicious, call police right away. Reporting live in Westchester, Deanna Durante, NBC 10 News.
It was slick. It was slick. Crab walked up the wall is what the cop said. I love it. Can't fault the guy. I wouldn't want to be in prison. Somebody that might be going to prison is this Atlanta shooting suspect. We have video of them leaning out of their truck and firing shots. So this should be wild fucking footage. I don't even know which shooting was this. Who fucking knows? It's just another day.
We are following breaking news at this hour. Take a look at these images just into Atlanta News First. Atlanta police say this video shows the moment a woman was shot at a gas station on Whitehall Street in southwest Atlanta. This happened Sunday, but we just got the video today. You can see the black pickup driving.
Wait.
Take a look at these images just into.
Is that a gal with a really nice booty? Going blat, blat, blat across the parking lot? What the fuck?
Atlanta News First. Atlanta police say this video shows the moment a woman was shot at a gas station on Whitehall Street in southwest Atlanta.
I'm sorry. The suspect does appear to be a female with a very large posterior, correct? Maybe I'm misgendering them.
Just into Atlanta News First. Atlanta police say this video shows the moment a woman was shot at a gas station on Whitehall Street in southwest Atlanta.
They're in broad daylight. She's just up in the fucking... I love this country. I love this fucking country.
We are following breaking news at this hour. Take a look at these images just into Atlanta News First. Atlanta police say this video shows the moment a woman was shot at a gas station on Whitehall Street in southwest Atlanta. This happened Sunday, but we just got the video today. You can see the black pickup driving through the parking lot while someone hangs out of the side of that truck. There it is, with a gun. Police say the shooter is 30-year-old Kelsey Crawford. They say her brother, Joshua Crawford, was driving the truck. Both have been arrested. At last check, the woman shot remains in the hospital.
Kelsey Crawford has been arrested. Kelsey Crawford is apparently a singer with 114 subscribers. I was wanting the woman that was doing a mass shooting.
In the morning when I wake and the sun is coming through.
She got a good voice.
Oh, you fill my lungs with sweetness, and you fill my head with you.
Not the Kelsey Crawford I was hoping for, though. Second, let me see if I can pull up a news story. So that is Kelsey Crawford there. Two arrested in connection with Atlanta drive-by shooting that critically wounded a woman. Man and woman were arrested in connection with a shooting. Joshua Crawford, 20, Kelsey Ann Taylor Crawford, 30. Joshua Crawford was charged with aggravated assault and attempting to flee and elude police. Kelsey Ann Taylor Crawford was charged with aggravated assault, aggravated battery, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Both are being held at the Fulton County Jail, where Donald Trump could do some time at some point. They could be in good company with the former president. I don't know what state this happened in. Let me find. Prince George County in Maryland. Prince George County in Maryland. Prince George County in Maryland. A cop has been suspended after this video of him has went viral.
A viral video showing a police officer getting close with a woman at a park in Oxon Hill, and then both of them getting into the back of his patrol vehicle.
Yeah, and tonight we're told Internal Affairs is investigating. They're conducting interviews to figure out if there was misconduct by that officer, Francesco Marlette.
Probably. We have a real problem with cops extorting people for sex, using their power to get women, men to have sex with them. It is disgusting.
Suspension.
Sources confirmed to WUSA 9 that Marlette is the officer involved in the second video you see that shows a woman getting into the back of a police vehicle at another Prince George's County park. And the state's attorney's office says at this point, no one has been charged with anything.
Well, in the last 30 minutes, like I mentioned, we got these documents. They don't say much about the incident or what took place in the back seat of that Prince George's County SUV, and they do not confirm what...
Well, I can take a wild guess at what went on in the back seat of that SUV.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Their corporal, Marlette, was actually on the clock when that whole incident was recorded. They do, however, ask the community to come forward if they know any details regarding this case. Now, like you mentioned, we've gotten confirmation that Marlette is the man seen in both of those videos where a woman is seen in the backseat of his car. And you're probably wondering, what is next in this case? We're told that once the internal investigation is complete, the Administrative Charging Committee will then make recommendations to Chief Aziz. The investigation will also be reviewed by the Police Accountability Board. Now, a lot has been said about Marlette's past, and in the information provided just 30 minutes ago by Prince George's County Police,
I can guess that he's a bastard because all cops are bastards.
They indicate that in 2016, Marlette was removed from his next promotional cycle and fined $1,500 for a child abuse assault case. They also noted that in 2023, there was a domestic incident in Calvert County. Now, both of the cases led to a suspension and an investigation, according to police, but both were determined to be unfounded allegations. In a statement, Police Chief Malik Aziz said he is taking this incident very seriously, adding, "I know the officer's actions seen on those videos have sparked a range of emotions in the community and put a negative spotlight on this agency and the many hardworking women and men who wear our uniform. I expect every officer to conduct themselves in a way that will not just honor this agency or this county." You all mentioned that this story is, of course, getting a lot of reactions, and actually Marlette's wife has taken to social media and expressed her outrage regarding that incident that was caught on cell phone video. We have reached out to her as well as to the woman that is seen in both of those videos, but we have yet to hear back. We're expecting more updates and a conclusion to this ongoing internal investigation here in Prince George's County. I'm at police headquarters. Rafael Sanchez Cruz, WUSA 9.
Yeah, the chief says he expects a whole lot better from
He's a
people who
cutie.
wear the badge there. All right.
I don't expect I know how cops are. I expect them to be scumbags. If I find out that the situation is consensual, that's like the best I can hope for here. Because like, knowing cops, I'm assuming he's raping her. Fuck him. Seriously. We had the Nazi salute earlier. So only fitting that we head to Germany for this story. What the fuck? What? Why am I gonna do this? A tourist. Oh, it's a German. We're not in Germany. I'm sorry. We're in Florence, Italy. A German tourist has damaged a statue. Apparently they were trying to take a photo for the gram, for the TikTok, WeChat, whatever the fuck. I didn't see any damage. He went. He got his snap. The headline says an imbecile tourist damaged the famous Fountain of Neptune in Florence this weekend when he climbed on it to take a selfie and broke off a piece of marble. Uh-oh. Security footage caught the 22-year-old German man trying to scale the iconic monument's chariot to pose for a picture and breaking the piece of marble. Florence's mayor, Dario Nardella, said in a post on Twitter while sharing a blurred-out image of the delinquent visitor. There is no justification against vandalism of cultural heritage, the mayor said on Monday. The man also damaged the horse's hoof on his way back down. He caused approximately $5,400 worth of damage, or 5,000 euros for our British folk that might be watching. This is why we can't have nice things. Hopefully this is the last time I have to fucking talk about Burning Man. Do you want to watch a video of a Dodge Ram going mudding, trying to get out of Burning Man?
No, he's fine. No, he's fine.
What a tool indeed. A three-legged bear breaks into a home and raids the fridge.
A Lake Mary family had an unexpected guest this Labor Day weekend. A bear. The family's 13-year-old son and their security system caught the whole thing on camera. West News' Haley Crumblehome spoke with him about how the bear got into their screened-in patio and helped himself to some White Claws.
Had a fucking drink. Got some White Claws.
I've never been this close to a bear.
13-year-old Joseph Diglio was watching TV Sunday. Barking from the family's dog, Bruno clued him in there was something outside.
Oh my God, there's a literal bear in our patio.
This is the hole the bear ripped open to get inside. And once in,
He
went over here to the fridge and got 2 White Claws.
mango and strawberry, in case you were wondering.
Oh, look, he just opened the door. He's about to take the beer.
It's apparently famous in the community.
While the bear's ability to open the fridge was pretty cool, it was also kind of concerning.
Once I saw him open the fridge, I got scared that he could open the doors to like the houses.
I feel like I gotta lock all the doors now. Oh my God, okay. I gotta go lock out my dog.
But it was ultimately barks from Bruno that scared the bear away.
Just part living where we live, honestly.
In Seminole County, Haley Crumblehome, West 2 News.
It happened in Florida.
Weekend, a bear.
It happened in Florida.
And their security system caught the whole thing on camera. West News' Haley Crumblehome spoke with him about how the bear got into their screened-in patio and helped himself to some White Claws.
Oh my God. I've never been this close to a bear.
I love my job.
Diglio was watching
I love this country.
Barking from the family's dog, Bruno clued him in there was something outside.
Oh my God, there's a literal bear in our
Of course, a Florida bear.
This is the hole the
With three-legged bear drinks White Claw.
He went over here to the fridge and got 2 White Claws.
Mango and strawberry, in case you were wondering.
Oh, look, he just opened the door. He's about to take the beer. He's about to take the beer.
And while the bear's ability to open the fridge was pretty cool, it was also kind of concerning.
Once I saw him open the fridge, I got scared that he could open the doors to like the houses.
I feel like I gotta lock all the doors now. Oh my God, okay. I gotta go lock out my dog.
But it was ultimately barks from Bruno that scared the bear away.
Just part living where we live, honestly.
In Seminole County, Haley Crumblehome, West 2 News.
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.